Hello, welcome to Disability in DC Metro's webinar series, recognizing our valued partners on the ADA anniversary, featuring today BroadFutures. My name is Catherine McCary. I'm the CEO of Disability in DC Metro, as well as have some few other titles there. And it's my honor and pleasure to welcome a dear friend of mine, Carolyn Jeppsen. Carolyn?
Good morning. Thank you for having us, Catherine. I really appreciate it. My name is Carolyn Jeppsen. I am the CEO, president, and co-founder of an organization called BroadFutures. We are the only paid internship program for young people with learning disabilities in the United States. And what we're going to do today is give you a brief overview of BroadFutures and then have some of our community speak with you as well. So I have today Catherine Provost from Senator Van Hollen's office, and Danielle Silverman, one of our alumni intern, and Oscar Held, one of our program participants this summer. So you can move to, BroadFutures, we like to think that we are revolutionizing the way young people with learning disabilities enter the workforce. And why do we say that? Because we are taking a different approach to supporting and providing opportunities for young people who think differently. Most of the workforce programs that exist today for young people are not directly aimed at those who may have attention or learning issues. So in order to make sure that we are embracing the talents of the young people that we serve, we integrate the arts as well as yoga and mindfulness, as well as having a peer mentor model. So in that way, we feel that we are revolutionary, we are innovative in our approach. Next slide. We are based in Washington, D.C. We serve the entire United States. We have people who come to us from other states. Both of the alumni interns we have today have come to us from other states, but we also serve a great amount of young people in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. Historically, we have been solely an internship program. So we have a program that runs in the winter, spring, and we have a program that runs in the summer. Due to COVID, we pivoted fairly quickly in order to capture the virtual space. And this summer, we'll hear a little bit from Oscar on this, but this summer we pivoted to have a virtual college and career readiness program. So we were not doing internships because we were unable to, but we are still preparing our young people to be successful, whether they are going directly into the workplace or whether they are going into higher education. So who do we serve? We serve young people between 18 and 26 who have a high school diploma. At this time, we are not serving people on a certificate program. We are serving people who have graduated from high school. They have to be diagnosed with a learning disability or attention issue, otherwise known as ADHD. They have to be able to work without constant supervision. So what that means is we are not engaging in supported employment. We have a peer and coaching mentor support model, but we do not have someone placed at the internship site. All of our interns are able to work independently. They are motivated to be in our program and responsive to direction. Next slide, please. So what makes us unique? We like to think that we are a fun, interactive, and accessible curriculum. So we're appealing to different learners. As I said before, we incorporate the arts through the use of drama, role play, and graffiti art. So what does that look like? Let's say we are doing a unit on self-advocacy. How do you speak up for yourself in the workplace? We are presenting that from a communication standpoint, and then we are using our drama artists to incorporate role play as a way to practice those skills real time before you are in your internship. It also is a way that we're able to create community easily within the cohort that we are serving. We use the communications piece of our curriculum. We use a combination of the speech pathologist and a drama artist. So we have someone who is very adept at understanding and explaining to people the difference between verbal and nonverbal communication, how expressive language is learned, and it really provides a nice base for our young people around professional communication. As I said before, we also incorporate a stress reduction component of our curriculum. We spent about a year researching before we piloted our first program. In that year of research, we were very focused on why do young people who learn and think differently not have some of the same opportunities or as like successful as others in the workplace. And what we learned was there's a huge amount of stress due to probably some of the challenges around the educational system before they enter the workplace. And so that is why we incorporate the yoga and mindfulness piece. We also have a supportive model. As I explained before, it is not supported employment, but it's a high touch model where we incorporate the expertise of an executive functioning coach in combination with a peer mentor. So each intern is provided a peer mentor as well as a executive functioning coach. And then the social support. So we learn by playing, we learn by creating community, we learn by understanding that disability is something to be proud of and what our strengths are. And that is a huge focus of how we are delivering our curriculum. How do we match interns with their employers? We are employer driven on this, so we are not accepting a group of interns and then finding them internships. We are vetting internships and then finding interns. So we are looking first at what does an employer need? What are they looking for in an intern? What is the environment like? And then we are matching that to the intern's unique strengths, interests, what their drivers are, and also what is their preferred environment. Is this someone who's very social, who needs to be in a very interactive environment? Or is this someone who has a lot of social anxiety, who would benefit much more from being in a cubicle situation or even a remote work situation? Next slide. We have a broad array of internships. We partner with almost 55 different employers in the Washington, D.C. area. They pretty much encompass these 5 areas that we have here: hospitality and tourism, communications and marketing, IT, politics and policy jobs, a lot of senator and congressional internships, as well as a variety of nonprofits, many of whom are focused in the disability space. Next slide. So this is my contact information. As I said before, I am the CEO, president, co-founder. I am also the parent, proud parent of twins, both of whom have learning disabilities, one of whom is also deaf, and that is what led me to this work. That is my contact information, cell office, our website, and my email. But now what I would like to do is to engage our participants that we have here. And the first person that I would love to have speak with us is Catherine Provost from Senator Van Hollen's office. Catherine, do you mind just introducing yourself?
Hi, Carolyn.
Good morning, Catherine. Thank you for being on.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. As Carolyn stated, my name is Catherine Provost. I work in Senator Van Hollen's office as his Director of Constituent Services. In that capacity, I oversee our intern group and have worked with BroadFutures and BroadFutures interns for the better part of the last 6 years, if I'm not mistaken, since its inaugural year, and it's been a real pleasure. So very happy to be here.
And the senator has been awarded one of our champion awards for being such a great employer partner. So thank you for being on. Just generally, why does your office choose to partner with BroadFutures, and kind of what have been the overall benefits of doing so?
Absolutely. So as you had indicated, Senator Van Hollen works very hard to be an advocate for individuals and persons with disabilities. And we were really excited to partner with BroadFutures to put that advocacy and public policy into practice, and to help promote the professional development of individuals of all diverse abilities. So it was a really exciting opportunity, and the experience has been even better than we could have imagined. BroadFutures interns really are an asset to a workplace. They contribute to the diversity of the workplace, and they enrich our workplace. We learn something new from each and every one of the BroadFutures interns we host in our office. And we also find that it's a wonderful experience for their intern peers as well. It makes everyone more comfortable in the workplace with sharing needs in terms of how we can all work together to have a most successful operation.
I love that universal design and practice there. and that's kind of one of our hopes, is that by hosting BroadFutures interns, it makes the workplace a better place.
Absolutely.
So you were one of our small group of employer partners this winter who transitioned from having in-person internships to actually having our intern move remotely and hosting her in a remote capacity. And can you just kind of speak generally about how that transition worked and what it felt like on your end?
Sure. So the transition was very abrupt. Speaking very candidly, it was no one could foresee a pandemic coming, I think. But I really attribute BroadFutures with preparing and supporting our intern that was with us at the time to help through that transition. We had to go from being in person, a very highly interpersonal, interactive environment, to all virtual. And that changed somewhat the nature of the intern responsibilities. And so in so doing, we had to rely solely on email and phone to provide instruction, feedback, things of that nature, and slowly moved into other platforms such as Zoom and video conferencing, so that you could get some of the more nuanced interpersonal interactions like facial expression and tone. So there was a lot of detail paid attention to written instruction, but also to make sure that the tasks we were given were very virtual friendly, and left a lot of room for interaction, so that there was plenty of room for follow-up questioning from any of our interns. So if they needed clarification about something in this virtual space, that we had the ability to meet that.
Okay. And how did the BroadFutures intern handle that transition? How was that from your end?
I would say it was beautiful. It was really seamless for a BroadFutures intern, I believe, because they had already, through BroadFutures, they'd gotten support and knew to ask clarifying questions. So if there ever was a question about instructions that were written in an email or given over phone, they were very quick to follow up. They were very responsive. And those are both very highly valued qualities in this new virtual workspace that we're operating in. And that was already instilled due to their BroadFutures experience.
Mm-hmm. Terrific. So kind of the big question is, just briefly, what advice would you give employers who are hiring and supporting young people with learning disabilities?
I would say to keep an open mind, and also to know that it never really feels like a disability. Honestly, at our end, it feels like there is a skill that is just more pronounced than others. And so how is it that each intern can be highlighted and offer something to your office? If it's someone who has an audio processing disorder, they're going to get written instructions more so than the other, but they might notice deficiencies in your written instructions and operations. If it's someone who has an attention issue that needs tasks broken down in a period of time, and move on to the next task, I would say go in with a really positive attitude, and look as to how each and every person can better your operations, because it really is an opportunity to be had.
Thank you so much, Catherine. I appreciate your willingness to share with us so openly about your experience. And now, Danielle, you are up. Danielle has participated in 2 of our programs. And Danielle, do you mind just introducing yourself?
Yeah, hi. So I'm Danielle. I graduated school from Landmark College a year ago. I participated in 2 BroadFutures programs last summer and this past winter when it turned virtual. Last summer, I worked with the American Psychological Association in the conference department, helping plan conferences, and again in the winter at the Council of Insurance Agents and Brokers, also in event planning.
Awesome. And just generally overview, how was your BroadFutures experience in those 2 programs?
So my BroadFutures experience was definitely life-changing. When I came into BroadFutures, I really thought that I was not capable of succeeding in the workplace because of the way that I learned. I knew I was capable of success, but BroadFutures really provided the missing links of navigating the complexity of the workplace. I learned how to advocate for myself. I learned how to communicate, and I learned that I could actually work. And BroadFutures provided the support and the skills that I needed to succeed in the program and beyond. And I am very, very grateful.
Thank you so much, Danielle. We were grateful to have you. So you were one of our, just like Catherine on the employer end, you on the intern end were one of our small group of interns this winter who had to transition to the virtual space. And just how was that transition generally?
So I would say it was definitely a challenge. I didn't have my everyday routine. I wasn't in the office interacting with colleagues. It was definitely a little harder to process the work and a little harder to focus. However, I was very supported during this time. BroadFutures did everything in their power to deliver individualized attention and support. They made it successful. They made it work. And BroadFutures, that's what made it work. That's what they do.
And what advice would you give employers on how to best support employees with learning disabilities?
So I would tell an employer to treat someone with a learning challenge no differently than they would treat anyone else. I would say that we're just as capable. People with learning challenges are just as capable. And when you treat someone with a learning challenge with respect, the work delivery that comes across it's better and it's easier. And it makes working easier, and it makes the work that comes across better quality, and it's much appreciated.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Danielle, for sharing your experience. And now we're going to hear from one of our participants in the summer, Oscar Held. And as I said earlier, we are traditionally an internship program, but this summer we pivoted to the virtual space where we held a college and career readiness program, and Oscar was a part of that program. So Oscar, do you mind introducing yourself?
Hi, I'm Oscar Held. I also graduated from Landmark College with my associate's degree, and like Carolyn said, I was part of the BroadFutures summer program that was virtual.
Terrific. And what did you enjoy most about the workforce training program in the virtual space?
What I most enjoyed about was the fact that you can still make connections with people even virtually.
Right. So that was Oscar's group became very close, and that was something we were very worried about not happening, because community is one of our biggest drivers of how we deliver curriculum and how we support young people. And what skills or benefit was most impactful for you in that space?
For me, what was most beneficial was the mock interviews that we would have, because that really got us ready for doing an actual interview.
Okay. And is that something you had not experienced before?
Well, for me, I have had an actual interview before in person, but
Okay.
never one virtually. So this is definitely different.
Okay. And again, I mean, part of what we're trying to talk about today is the idea that the virtual space for many, especially many individuals with disabilities, can be an easier place to be. But for many individuals with learning disabilities and attention issues, it also can be challenging. So do you mind just describing a little bit of what may have been challenging for you in the virtual space?
Some of the challenges I faced were staring at my screen nonstop for long hours a day. And so to accommodate for that, I would take, while the session was still going on, I would take like a minute or two breaks just to like look around, look outside, look around the space that I was in, or look at something that's 3D, because yeah.
Okay. No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you. Thank you to everyone for providing your input. And thank you, Catherine, for having us. I'm going to turn it back over to you. And just to say, we feel so privileged to be serving the community we're serving and to have the opportunities to support young people with learning disabilities in the workplace.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. And it was great to have viewpoints from both sides. And I know that our audience will want to watch this over and over. I put some resources up here on the page, but one of the things I wanted to mention at the bottom of on this list of for C5 Consulting, which is my company, I wanted to remind everybody, or let you know if you don't know, that we actually, C5, BroadFutures, and the DC Metro chapter of Disability In put together some learning, virtual learning for students. It was designed for college students. It is still up, and it helps both for transitioning from school to work. And then once you're in work, in that career, then it helps get you further along so that you don't just stay at where you are and you move on to hopefully a leadership position. And this curriculum was developed, as I said, with BroadFutures, DC Metro, and C5. But more than that, it was done with university connections and also employers and both students and young individuals with disabilities who'd already entered their careers. So that link is something that you should take a look at. This is just a short, brief welcome to the Disability In chapter and what we do. And then I'll just end by saying thank you. Thank you to all of you. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you for the work that you do. We're so appreciative of our partnership with you, and we'll do as much as we can to help you continue in your success. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you.